Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. We have with us Dr. Brandon Brownell, our team doctor. He's on hand to discuss important questions surrounding the COVID-19 vaccine in hopes of helping each of you make the best decision for yourself on whether you should get vaccinated. School recently sent you all an email with information from Dr. Brownell, kindly offering to provide each of you a vaccine to any of our athletes that would like to get one at his office. So welcome, Dr. Brownell.
Thank you very much for having me, Amanda. I want to take this opportunity just to kind of help shine some light on those who have questions about the vaccine. Certainly, we all know what's been going on over the last year, and hopefully this will help shine some light and guide us through the next year of the academic year. So thank you, Amanda.
All right, let's start with one of the fun questions here. How much will the vaccine cost for them to get?
Yeah, so the vaccine is completely free. It's funded by the federal government, so indirectly you're paying for it through your taxes, but to you, the vaccine is completely free to get. In no way, shape, or form should you be paying for it. So if that ever came up, that'd be incorrect. So it is free through the county. It is offered at any local site and free to you.
Awesome. All right, why should I get the vaccine?
Yeah, so this is probably a pretty broad question. I'll kind of bring it down to your demographic. So most of you are probably between the age of 18 and 30, and certainly probably young and very healthy, right? So the question is why should a young healthy person get the vaccine? And there's a number of reasons, and probably more than I can even touch on, but the biggest one obviously is for your safety. It does significantly decrease your risk of contracting and having outward symptoms. But even more importantly, to help you protect the ones around you. I'll give you the most common scenario for someone like yourself. So most commonly, you'll be in and amongst your friends when unfortunately one of your friends has COVID who is asymptomatic. You're in and around them. You then develop having COVID. Now, you may become symptomatic, and that could look something as simple as a common cold, or it could be someone with like some GI upset or just feeling fatigued. Unfortunately, though, you are very contagious, even before you become symptomatic. So let's pretend you go home to your parents or go home to grandma, and then inadvertently you give them COVID with a simple hug, or even being in the room having a conversation. That's been the most common cause of spread of COVID-19. So that's unfortunately the most likely scenario for you. Having been vaccinated reduces that risk of spread significantly. So if anything, if you're not worried about your personal health, helping protect those around you, that is probably the number one reason why your demographic should get vaccinated, is to help protect those around you.
Awesome. While you have COVID, so if you have COVID too, so say, they're in a demographic where they really will, typically be asymptomatic or light in their effects there, but will they be more susceptible to contracting something else during that time while their immune system's being battled?
So certainly, right. So one thing we always say in medicine is that just because you're sick with one thing doesn't mean you can't get sick with another, right? So having the virus will certainly will put it taxing on your immune system, and that could make you more susceptible to have another infection down the road, or a common infection. So certainly you do not want to get sick. The most common symptoms for your demographic are milder, but we have seen plenty of cases where people are quite sick, have significant respiratory issues, and require hospitalization. And of course, there have been in the thousands of individuals in your demographic who are young, healthy athletes who have been hospitalized and even died from it. So it is a very real disease for the world, and it is still a very real disease for your demographic. We are not immune to the mortality risk involved with this virus. So it's something that shouldn't be taken lightly.
What does it mean to be an emergency use authorization vaccine?
Yeah, so this is something that people don't feel very comfortable with, and I'll try to shine some light on it. So the emergency use authorization, or EUA, in no way does that mean that the corners were cut. What I'll kind of emphasize is that when someone creates a product that's going to be approved by the FDA, it goes through a number of very specific steps. And those steps take very often years, if not decades, to accomplish. Now, EUA allows those steps to be met, but on a shortened timeline. So let's pretend I have a product and I want to go through phase 1 trials. It will take me months to get subjects. It'll take me months to submit my paperwork. It'll take me months to get approval, and it'll take me months to even start that phase 1. So I just added up lots of months just to even get to the first step. Will take a year, if not years. The EUA allows for those cumbersome, paperwork heavy, financial heavy, fundraising heavy steps to be shrunk and expedited within days and weeks. Now, again, it in no way says we're skipping steps of scientific research. It is basically helping to cut out the bureaucracy, the fundraising, all those kind of things. When you have seemingly a blank check from the government to make this product, you're cutting out years of cumbersome paperwork. So phase 1 trials, phase 2 trials, phase 3 trials were all met, all documented accordingly, all submitted, all peer reviewed, and the safety was met in every single step, just like it would normally, but the cumbersome, difficult parts of it were not there. Typically, a phase 1 trial may have hundreds or a couple thousand individuals, and it takes time to gather those. In this scenario, they even got more individuals, so they were able to expedite those steps much quicker. So I want to ensure that the emergency use authorization in no way cuts corners as far as safety and efficacy. It helps us speed those difficult steps along much faster.
Okay. I had COVID. Is it safe to get the vaccine? And if so, how long should I wait until I get it?
Yeah, so it is absolutely safe to get the vaccine if you've had COVID. The timeline between having the virus and getting a vaccine is a little gray. In the very beginning, you heard things like you should wait 3 months, you should wait 4 months, you should wait 90 days, whatever it might be. Part of that was because you do have immune cells after you get the virus. And in the very beginning, we had more demand than vaccine. So we said, well, if you've been sick recently, let's have you wait a little while for those who have not been sick to get vaccinated. Again, the more people who have antibodies, the better. So at this point, now we have enough vaccine for the demand. So let's pretend you unfortunately get sick now. When you become asymptomatic, theoretically, you can get it right away. There's really no harm in doing that. Your body is kind of ramped up, we say, and because those antibodies are at a heightened state. So you may have a little stronger immune response. That in no way is unsafe to you. That is no way not less effective. So there really is no specific timeline as much as far as a time to wait. And it certainly is not unsafe to get it very shortly after you become sick.
Do I get to choose which one I get?
Yeah, so theoretically you do. In the very beginning, you kind of showed up to the clinic and whatever they had, you got, because we just needed to get people vaccinated, right? At this point, we definitely do have more vaccine than demand. So in theory, you could choose at this point. Because if you sign up and you say, oh, we have the Pfizer, and for whatever reason you say, oh, I really kind of wanted the Moderna, you could take your name off the list and go to a different place that has the Moderna. And similar if you wanted the Johnson & Johnson. So in theory, you could pick which one you get.
Which one are you offering at your office?
So right now at our office, we have the Moderna. In the very beginning, we got whatever we got. So 1 week we had Moderna, the second week we got Pfizer, the third we got Johnson & Johnson, and then more recently it's been Moderna. So at the present moment, we have Moderna. Many of the county ones have the Pfizer. At the current moment, we're trying to have more of the Pfizer sent to high schools because that's the only one approved for the 16 and over, and now the 12 and over is the Pfizer. So we're trying to shift the Pfizer more towards the younger population because those are the only ones that they can get. So for our demographic here, you're probably looking more at the Johnson & Johnson and Moderna at the present moment.
What are some of the side effects after getting the vaccine?
Yeah, so this can range from 0 side effects to feeling quite sick for a very short period of time. So in my household alone, I have my grandfather-in-law who's 87, and I have myself who's in my 30s and my wife who's in her 30s. And then I got my parents who don't live with us, but we'll just use them. So I got the first shot, felt 0 symptoms at all. And then my second shot, I felt very much flu-like for about 8 hours. I woke up in the middle of the night, chills, fever, felt terrible. for about 4 hours, and then about 4 more hours, I felt completely run down, just very flu-like. And then after that, I just felt a little fatigued for the rest of the night, and the next day I was completely fine. My wife, very similar course. She had some injection site soreness the first shot. The second shot, she had similar symptoms to what I described, but a little milder. And then the next day, she felt completely fine. My grandfather, who's 87, had 0 symptoms for both shots, period. My parents, who were in their 60s, similar. My dad had some injection site soreness. Again, no other major flu-like or illnesses like that. And again, you're not sick per se. It's actually your body's creating an immune response, and that's what you're seeing. As far as my patients, we see everything from I had no issues at all to, oh, I was run down for a week. So the symptoms vary tremendously. We are finding those in the younger demographic, like ourselves here, to have a little bit stronger response. You could you probably feel that it's probably just because we have a stronger immune system. So you're getting a stronger response, and those in the higher demographics, age-wise, are having a less response. Of course, you're going to hear in a number of stories, certainly online, from maybe somebody died after they got the shot. So those things are probably the biggest reason why people are afraid, right? You hear stories of these things. Statistically, that risk is massively less than 1%, if not less than 0.0001%. Shots are innately extremely safe. The outward responses that we get are our actual bodies learning how to fight the virus and creating immune responses to kill that. So they're innately extremely safe.
My arm killed for about 2 days after that first one.
Yeah, so some people.
Second one, it didn't hurt at all.
Yeah.
All right, how long does protection from the vaccine last?
Yep, so we're not 100% sure yet, because most people have only had it for a total of 5 months. We anticipate it being hopefully well above a year. Then the follow-up question is always, well, I need a booster. Again, we don't know. That'll have to depend on variants. You hear these different variants from Europe and from South Africa. At the current moment, the vaccines we have are very much effective against those. Hopefully that won't change. And then we'll have to see how long these antibodies stay in our system. At the current moment, there are people who are volunteering themselves to have blood draws every so often, and we actually measure the antibodies that are in their system. In a very primitive way, we'll say after you get the shot at 2 weeks, we'll say it's at 100. These people are getting blood draws every month, and hopefully it keeps staying right around 100. Maybe it drops to 90, maybe it drops to 70. I don't anticipate ever dropping to 0, but we'll have to kind of see how things go over the next few months and years.
Does getting sick with actual COVID-19 give you better protection than getting the vaccine?
So our current understanding is that it does not. The antibodies that are in our system with the actual natural immunity that you get from getting sick is around 90 days. I'm sure some people have much longer antibody levels. Some people probably have shorter antibody levels, but as the current understanding is that the natural immunity is much less than the vaccinated immunity.
If you have any allergies or known underlying conditions, is it safe to go ahead and get the vaccine?
Yeah, so those who have underlying health concerns are actually at the front of the list to get the vaccine. If you have an underlying issue, that makes you much more susceptible to becoming quite sick from the virus. So those are the ones who should be at the head of the line. There are probably a few very, very specific reasons individuals who should not. Those are very few and far between. And if you feel like you'd be that person, then I would probably contact your primary care doctor, or I could probably shine some light on that individually. But as a blanket statement, there are very few people who should not be getting the shot. And I don't anticipate anybody listening to this video would fall into that category. As far as just general allergies, environmental allergies, food allergies and such, there really isn't any individual that should be excluded based on those allergies.
All right. So if my school, which we have not done this yet, anybody, we have not made this decision, my school requires me to get a vaccine for athletics. How should I feel about that?
Yeah, so that's a tough question, right? So as an individual who has been vaccinated and has vaccinated his entire family, I think you should, to help protect yourself, help protect your family, and help protect your peers. whether you know this or not, it was a very cumbersome year for Amanda, the athletic training staff, for those who help organize all the athletics and academics at your school. The virus created a tremendous headache and logistical nightmare, so to speak. Theoretically, if everyone is vaccinated on the team, we can avoid the testing multiple times a week. We can avoid spacing out on the bus. We can avoid only having certain practice at certain times and close locking the building down. It'll make life extremely more, back to normal. If a large percentage of the team decides, nope, it's not for me, I'm not doing it, then we would probably have a year very similar to that we had this current year. Even if everyone on the team got sick, and it really probably wouldn't matter based on the guidelines from most of the NCAA and those academics and the scholastic teams. So, will Villa Maria require this? I don't know. That's not something that I'll decide. More recently, the governor said SUNY schools do require it. So, 25,000 individuals at UB will have to get it to go to school. It's not an uncommon practice at all. My kids have to get vaccinated to go to public elementary school. There are some level of vaccines that are required to go to most colleges. When I went to med school, I had to show proof they actually had antibodies. Not even that I was vaccinated, I actually had vaccines and they worked. So these are very common practices. It just makes you uncomfortable when it's new, of course, and that's probably the level of hesitancy that you have here. So it's not uncommon to require vaccines. I don't know if they will. And it's probably up to you to decide if that's something that is going to change your decision or not.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, we love traveling, right, athletes? We love being out there and being on the road and being together. And those of you who got to experience the full thick of things this year and testing, accidentally putting it up your nose too far, getting a bloody nose, the be playing, the stop, to start playing again. It was pretty tough. So whatever we can do to help prevent that from happening so we can have a smooth season and be back to normal as much as possible, I hope that we all can do that sooner than later by making some good choices. And our last big pressing question that came in is, will their limbs fall off after 5 years of getting this vaccine?
I don't know. I hope they won't. Nothing in our history of vaccines would suggest they do. Like I said before, vaccines are innately extremely safe. I'm just speculating, but I do feel we probably have more issues with common over-the-counter medications than we do from vaccines. I would suspect we have more hospitalizations because of Tylenol than we do from vaccines. So I don't know that your arms won't fall off. I don't think they will. I don't think your skin will turn green, but I don't know the future. So I can't give a firm answer on that, but I would anticipate they stay on.
I thought one last question. If when people decide to go and get the vaccine, is there anything that they can do ahead of time or after getting the vaccine, whether it's hydration, ibuprofen, that can help maybe stave off some of those side effects from the vaccine?
Yeah, so one little thing that came out was that if I take ibuprofen after getting my shot, my shot won't work as well or won't work at all. That's not really true. You're welcome to take ibuprofen or Tylenol to help with any kind of muscle soreness, or if you develop some kind of symptom afterwards, you're welcome to take ibuprofen, as indicated. Hydration beforehand, and actually I often recommend doing a light workout afterwards. Those who commonly have injection site tenderness, if they do a little, shoulder work or a little upper body exercise, that anecdotally suggests that you'll do a little bit better. Hydration is, of course, good for anything. Your body is under some level of stress with the vaccine because it's learning and it's working on how to create antibodies. So hydration is, of course, important. So yeah, staying hydrated, eating well, doing a little light activity, all those things would only help.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions that I can think of, but whoever's listening, if you guys have any questions that are still lingering and you want to know and the answers to them the best you can before receiving your vaccine, please send them in to me and I will get your answer for you from Dr. B. And Dr. Brownell, thank you so much for being here and also for offering these vaccines up to our athletes. That is an absolutely incredible opportunity for each of them. I'll provide each of you guys again with his phone number to his office and the location. And if you guys need transportation, we're even willing to help you guys get there since it's out in West Seneca. With that, again, thank you so much, Dr. Brownell, for being here today. And everybody, I hope you make the best decision. I hope this video helped you to decide to go and get vaccinated so we can have an easy year of athletics.